In the U.S. today, spending on means-tested welfare programs amounts to $956 billion per year. This figure represents an increase of 32% over the level of welfare spending that was in place at the beginning of the Obama presidency. On average, each federal income taxpayer in America spends $8,776 annually to keep federal welfare programs afloat, according to discoverthenetworks.org. A common thing that us as taxpayers worry about is where our money goes to when people are applying for welfare. A lot of us fear that the money is going towards drugs and other illegal substances. In some cases, that can be true. There are 7 states that have recently approved the law that people on welfare should be drug tested, and the results were a lot different than what you would imagine. Before doing research on this topic, my opinion was on the other side, that people on welfare should be drug tested. I began doing research on the topic, and in my findings, my opinion was changed. Today, I am going to be talking to you about why we should not drug test people that are on welfare. I'm going to explain why it is a problem, other options we can pursue, and results that we can expect. Many people think that we should start drug testing people on welfare to weed out all of the drug abusers and give the money to people that actually need it. People expect that this would be saving our tax money by weeding those people out, but in reality, we would end up paying more in taxes. There are 7 states right now that have passed the law that drug testing is mandatory for those applying for welfare. Those states include Arizona, Kansas, Mississippi, Missouri, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Utah. ThinkProgress.org gathered data from how many people in each state applied for welfare and how many of them tested positive for drugs. Bryce Cober and Josh Israel stated that the national drug use rate is 9.4%. In these states, however, the rate of positive drug tests to total welfare applicants range from 0.002% to the 8.3%, but all except one have a rate below 1%. If we start drug testing people that apply for welfare, then we will end up having to spend over $1 million over time. In 2014, Missouri had 38,970 applicants for welfare and only 48 of them tested positive for drugs. Bryce Cover and Josh Israel said that the budgeted cost for that year's testing program was $336,297. And according to numbers provided to ThinkProgress by a Missouri Department of Social Services spokeswoman, the first 3 years of the program will likely cost the state more than $1.35 million, including startup costs. All other states had about the same statistics, and all of them ended up spending more money on the testing. Now that we have talked about the problems that drug testing welfare applicants can cause, now I am going to propose a solution that would be less cost effective. By giving background checks to welfare applicants, the government can more easily solve the problem of drug abusers abusing their benefits. This would result in knowing if any welfare applicants have had any prior drug offenses, and then in turn should not be able to obtain welfare. Kansas already does this type of process. According to Rochelle Finzel in a news article, she stated that if the drug test is positive, the person is required to complete treatment and job skill programs to be eligible for benefits. The law also makes those convicted of a drug felony after July 1st, 2013 ineligible for cash assistance. First-time offenders are ineligible for 5 years, repeat offenders forever. This plan is more likely to succeed because this process weeds out the drug abusers and it prevents the government from drug testing every single applicant that applies for welfare. We have explained the solution to the problem. Now we need to focus on visualizing our goals. If this plan was adopted, it would result in A, the government saving more money, and B, us as taxpayers saving more money by not wasting it on unneeded drug tests. We all have to pay taxes. This issue is very relevant to anyone that is making a living, and if successful, it will benefit them. If we were to start drug testing welfare applicants, we would have to end up spending more money on taxes than we had expected. The amount that we would be spending would be more than $1.35 million, which DiscoverTheNetworks.org stated. With the next voting season, this issue is very likely to be in the polls, and I will make sure to spread the word to say no to the issue of drug testing welfare applicants. Now that I have discussed the problem and formed a solution, we can reflect on the important points of the issue. We have to remember that the main goal is to save us taxpayers money and solve the issue in the most efficient and sensible way. So, next time you are presented with this topic, remember that drug testing all welfare applicants will end up costing us more money in the long run. Also, next time you are in the voting booths, make sure to say no on drug testing welfare applicants. I will conclude this speech with a quote stated by Darlena Cunha. Instead of wasting taxpayer money to weed out a small percent of those in need, demonizing an entire sect of people in favor of misleading stereotypes, maybe it's time we put our funds into helping them find their way out of the system and onto their own 2 feet.